Good evening, I'm Sherry Falk.
I'm Guy Rawlings. Tonight at 10, Ukraine in crisis. As Russia continues its invasion, law enforcement in Ukraine receiving help from here in Alabama.
While they're trying to protect their homeland, they're also going into rubble and pulling out people of burning buildings, rocketed buildings, and pulling people out of the street.
Plus, hate groups in decline. Despite the events of January 6th, the Southern Poverty Law Center says fewer hate groups are popping up.
I heard my name on an intercom and I was like, wow, I'm about to do this.
And Miss Alabama State opening up about her experience at the Selma Bridge Crossing Jubilee, her takeaways from Vice President Kamala Harris.
WVTM 13 News begins with breaking news.
And our breaking news tonight in Chilton County, where a teenager has died in an accidental shooting.
WVTM 13's Chip Scarborough on the scene tonight. Chip, what do we know?
Well, information is very limited at this hour. The Chilton County Sheriff's Office tells us it appears one teenager accidentally shot and killed another teenager. This happened about 3:30 Wednesday afternoon on County Road 416 and the 600 block to be specific. We drove by there this evening, but we're unable to tell exactly where this happened because it's just so dark out there. The Sheriff's Office telling me tonight an autopsy will be performed tomorrow and that all indications point to this being accidental. That's the latest in Chilton County tonight. Chip Scarborough, WVTM 13.
Also breaking tonight, a bill making it a crime for police to misrepresent the boundaries of their jurisdiction. This could mean moving signs or markers, and if it passes, it would make the representation a misdemeanor, punishable by up to a year in jail and a $6,000 fine. It now goes to the Senate.
Also breaking out of Washington tonight, a bill to fund the government through September has passed the House. Within the $1.5 trillion bill is $13.5 billion for Ukraine and its allies. It now goes to the Senate.
A heartbreaking sight from Ukraine, a Russian airstrike destroying a maternity hospital on the Ukrainian coast this afternoon. At least 17 people hurt. No word on possible deaths at this time. The attack comes during what was supposed to be a ceasefire. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky calling it an atrocity.
He also says his troops have seized some of the Russians' military equipment. At a news conference, he tried to sway Russian troops, saying, "Why are you here? You can save yourselves if you just leave. You take our lives and you leave yours. Let's end this war and get back to peace."
We mentioned that attack came during what was supposed to be a ceasefire. It was in place to get more people out of the war-torn country. So far, more than 2 million refugees have escaped. As you can see, about half those people are going to Poland.
And because the government prohibits men ages 18 to 60 from leaving, most of the refugees are children. Mothers taking extreme measures to protect their kids, taking part in days-long journeys in chilling temperatures. The UN says it's the fastest growing refugee crisis in Europe since World War II. Ukraine's policy is meant to encourage men to sign up to fight.
The older ones, this will be marked for the rest of their lives. And I hope where they're going, the people that receive them will give them counseling.
Law enforcement in Ukraine can use all the help they can get, and it's no secret that community is close-knit.
Now, that's one reason why officers in Ukraine are receiving help from right here in Alabama. As WVTM 13's Chip Scarborough explains, deputies in Jefferson County are stepping up to help those who need help the most right now.
For police officers on the front lines in Ukraine, it's like nothing they've ever experienced before as Russian forces invade their country. Mike Hall spends a lot of his time in Ukraine training those officers who are facing their greatest challenge yet.
In the last 2 weeks, they've had 550,000 calls of service. They have a 102 line, like our 911 line.
Hall has been in constant contact with members of the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office throughout this crisis, letting deputies know how they can help those officers who are working nonstop.
And so that's kind of, what's really pulling at our heartstrings to make sure that our brothers and sisters of the badge are safe and have what they need as much as we can.
A page has been set up on Amazon with the items most needed to help Ukrainian officers through this trying time. Hall says the Ukrainian police force has stood strong the whole way through.
There are about 30,000+ police officers in Ukraine. 30% of them are women. They have the largest women in law enforcement than any other agency that I know of in the world. and they're still on the front lines.
Things got so tense, Hall had to evacuate to a neighboring country where he's waiting to find out when he can return to Ukraine. He says before the recent Russian invasion, Ukraine was a safe place.
To give you just kind of a highlight, there's more people killed in Chicago in a weekend than there is in all of Ukraine in a year. Right? So Ukraine is an extremely safe country.
Deputies in Jefferson County want to do all they can for the officers risking their lives. After all, law enforcement is one big family.
Can you imagine what it's like for them while they're trying to, answer their calls and keep their communities safe while there's a war going on around them?
Those overseas are extremely grateful for the relief being sent their way.
For instance, thermal underwear. It's snowing in Ukraine today. Right? It's cold. They're outside. We need gloves. We need regular underwear. We need socks. We need toiletries.
And it's not just law enforcement officers who can help. The general public can too. In Birmingham, Chip Scarborough, WVTM 13.
We'll post a link to the Amazon donation page on our free app and on the WVTM13.com.
We got a saying, how crime goes in the city of Birmingham is how it's going to go in the metro area. So, all of our crime is down in the city of Birmingham except for homicides. And it's just our shooting victims are down this year significantly.
Acting Police Chief Scott Thurmond is frustrated by the recent spike in homicides in Birmingham. Tonight, we're showing you the data backing up what he just said. Take a look at the numbers released by the city just a few hours ago. It's broken down into violent crimes and property crimes. Now, both are down by a pretty good margin from this time last year. Let's take a deeper dive. Property crime is down across the board, 87 fewer cases year to year. That's about a 5% change. We're seeing the same trend for violent crimes. Robbery and aggravated assaults are down, but homicides are trending in the wrong direction. 26 so far this year. That's a 62% increase from this time last year.
Also new tonight, a vigil held for Colleen Connell, who was shot and killed by Birmingham police last month. Police have not released much information. It started with a chase at Tom Brown Village. At some point, Connell was shot. He died at the hospital. Organizers called tonight a community healing vigil. For the third straight year, the number of hate groups down in the United States. That's according to the Southern Poverty Law Center. The SPLC found 733 hate groups last year, down by about 100 from 2020. Anti-government groups are also down. They peaked in 2012 when more than 1,300 were identified. 10 years later, that number is down by more than 50%. The SPLC found 6 such groups in Alabama.
A federal judge dismissing a lawsuit brought against Alabama Representative Mo Brooks. The suit claimed that he engaged in a civil conspiracy related to the January 6th attack on the Capitol. The dismissal was anticipated. The judge ruled Brooks' actions at the rally before the attack were protected by the First Amendment. Happening right now, the Blount County Sheriff's Office is working to find this man, Alex LaRousse Pugh, who also goes by Alex Perez. He's accused of raping a 7-year-old girl. We're told that he last lived in Bluntsville, working at a chicken plant in Albertville.
The gambling and lottery bill in Montgomery now in the full Senate. It passed the committee this afternoon. The proposed constitutional amendment would create a lottery and allow sports betting. This bill would create 8 casinos and 2 smaller gambling sites. The proposal would ultimately need to be approved by voters. The Senate also expected to discuss a bill banning the teaching of, quote, divisive concepts. This would cover race and gender in public schools. The legislation doesn't include the phrase critical race theory, but its definitions of divisive concepts appear to target the teaching of CRT, which state education officials say is not taught in public schools. We also want to tell you about a couple of pieces of legislation targeting the pandemic. One would require any state of emergency declared by the state health officer to first receive approval from the governor. This only applies if the state of emergency restricts citizens and businesses. Right now, it's in a Senate committee. The other bill would reduce funds to public schools that require students to wear masks. This bill is also in committee.
The governor is sending an additional $80 million to reimburse state hospitals and nursing homes for money spent during the pandemic. The Hospital Association and Nursing Home Association will split this money. The funds come from the American Rescue Plan. Pfizer is a step closer to asking for approval of its antiviral COVID treatment for kids. Right now, the drug is in its 2nd and 3rd testing phases for kids 6 to 17 years old. Paxlovid is already available for people 12 and older who are at high risk.
The opportunity of a lifetime for Selma native and the 82nd Miss Alabama State University. Kendra Angian introduced Vice President Kamala Harris at the Selma Jubilee.
Every year at the Jubilee, we walk across the bridge, but this time for me, it was different. I was arm in arm with the Vice President of the United States. And so it was just an unreal moment. You know, her and I were singing along together. If you saw any pictures of me and I was mid-sentence, most likely we were singing a song.
Calling it a swing and a miss for Major League Baseball.
Yeah, a third deadline to make sure the full season is played has come and gone. No deal. WVTM 13's Ryan Hennessy joining us in the studio to explain what went wrong. Ryan, things were looking so good.
We were so close, but no cigar on this one. It's still marking now 100 days since the lockout started. 3 deadlines have come and gone. The latest today when baseball gave the players 3 options. The association decided against all 3. Not only will the regular season get pushed back even further, but more games are going to be canceled. A double whammy for fans. However, the Players Union and the league are agreeing on one thing. Both will come together to help workers who are missing out because of spring training cancellations. A $1 million fund launched to support ballpark employees. But for now, all we can do is wait, and looks like both sides are making some progress. So maybe we'll see a deal by the end of this week. We hope. Who knows? We just have to wait and see. Guys, back to you.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light.
MLB might not start on time, but the Barons sure will. Opening day set for April 8th, and today the team held national anthem auditions. Those selected will get to belt out the anthem in front of thousands at Regents Field this season. How high will they go? That's what many Americans are wondering. Why President Biden says you better hold on because things won't be getting much better.
Plus, like the rest of us, you're probably looking for ways to save. We'll tell you about the 3 easy things you can do to save upwards of $2 at the pump. You're watching WVTM 13 News at 10.
You're watching WVTM 13 News.
Gas prices going from bad to worse. The national average now at $4.25 a gallon. That's a new record.
And President Biden issuing a warning that none of us want to hear.
It's gonna go up. Can't do much right now. Russia's responsible.
Here in Alabama, gas prices have risen every single day since February 28th. At that time, a gallon cost about $3.38. Today, it sits at $4.04. If prices increase by another nickel, it'll set a new state record.
So you might be wondering, how can you save money and gas? Well, we did some digging and we found a few tips that you can use right now to save up to $2 at the pump. Mike Teasell breaks down what you need to know.
With these rising gas prices, every penny helps. So I've got 3 tips to help you save up to $2 a gallon. Did you know the U.S. Department of Energy, the Alternative Fuels Data Center, actually has a calculator to save you money? So I inputted $5 a gallon for a Ford Escape like this. Did you know that the 3 tips start with watching your speed on the freeway? The difference between 65 miles an hour and 75 miles an hour can cost you $1.13 a gallon on the freeway. And then there's the drag on top of your car. Lighten that cargo load. If you got one of those big cargo bins or anything on the roof of your car, remove it. At freeway speeds, that can cost you an added 85 cents a gallon. And inside the car can make a difference. In your SUV, look at the lift gate, or in the sedan, clear the trunk, because for every 100 pounds added to your car, that can add 5 cents a gallon. So there's 3 quick tips that you can do right now to try and save up to $2 a gallon as you're driving. Oh, and one last note of extra credit, if you will. When you're idling, it's better to turn off the car than sit there with the car on, because you know what it costs you just to sit and idle? On average, with or without the AC, it's costing you about 4 cents every single minute. And these days, every penny counts when trying to find a way to afford rising gas prices. Back to you.
Well, Supreme Court nominee Ketanji Brown Jackson continues to meet with leaders in Congress. Today, she met with Missouri Senator Josh Hawley. Former Alabama Senator Doug Jones calls the meetings helpful and constructive. The Senate Judiciary Committee will begin Jackson's hearing on the 21st. President Biden hopes to have her confirmed by the end of the month.
Tonight, the Senate giving its approval to the Postal Service Reform Act. It overhauls finances and modernizes the USPS. Among the changes, new health care coverage and requiring the USPS to create an online delivery data dashboard. The legislation will save the Postal Service $50 billion over the next 10 years. So what does this piece of legislation mean for you? Well, first off, the U.S. needs to a post office up and running. You'll remember Postmaster General Louis DeJoy recently said that USPS was in deep financial trouble. Despite being one of the oldest federal agencies, the post office generally doesn't receive taxpayer funding, meaning it relies on stamps and package deliveries to survive. Modernizing the Postal Service will assure people in rural communities, the poor and the disabled have a way of getting important payments and notices from point A to point B.
More than $6 billion in student debt wiped out. The Department of Education found 100,000 people eligible for the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. It launched 15 years ago. If you're included, you have until October to apply for the forgiveness. You can do so at ed.gov.
Quick trivia for you. Did you know the city of Mobile has more baseball Hall of Famers per capita than any other city in the country? 5, and all will be honored with statues. It'll take 8 or 9 months for these statues to be made. First up, Hank Aaron. He'll be followed by Billy Williams, Ozzie Smith, Willie McCovey, and Satchel Paige. And Guy, did you know that Alabama is in the top 10 states with the most baseball Hall of Famers?
I did not know that.
Me neither.
The Bama boys can play apparently, and right now there's 12 total Hall of Fame baseball players from our state, and more might be on the way in the next decade. Along with the 5 from Mobile, 2 are from our area, Mule Suttles from Edgewater, and of course Willie Mays, arguably the greatest player ever. He's from Fairfield.
Exclusive live radar, your 3-minute advantage, so you'll know first. This is WVTM 13 Live Doppler.
Not too bad out there tonight, but we have big changes to talk about over the next few days. There's the view of the city right now. City lights all bright and shiny. Skies overhead continue to be rather cloudy, but the weather otherwise pretty easy to take on the WVTM 13 Live Doppler. Lack of rainfall. We are seeing a few small showers, one west of Columbus, Mississippi, and a couple of these may show up Chilton County, Coosa County overnight tonight or first thing tomorrow morning. Most of us will not see that. Your 12-hour forecast will dip a few more degrees down to about 40 or 42. The best news about tomorrow is the sun should be shining brightly by 8 or 9 a.m. Temperatures taking off like a rocket ship tomorrow. Very nice afternoon coming up. We'll stay in the relatively warm air through the day on Friday. Then some of this bitter cold air comes in starting later Friday night, and it will feel entirely different come Saturday. For now, things are kind of quiet as we go through tonight. It stays mostly cloudy, but the clouds disappear tomorrow morning. It becomes sunny. The afternoon, some really good stuff coming up. Very pleasant temperatures and a good time to be outdoors. Rain chances 10% tomorrow, 70 on Friday, 20 Saturday, 0 Sunday, and about 20% on Monday. The setup for the storm this weekend is this. Lots of rain along the Gulf Coast. Back to the west of us, a cold front moves in. First, it brings us some rain. That will last for a while. Then it will change over to snow. Right now, we're thinking an average of 1 to 3 hours worth of snow. Surface temperatures will be above freezing most of that time, so we don't think there's going to be a problem on roadways and sidewalks. There'll be some snow in the grassy areas, at least north of I-20 anyway. Come early Saturday morning, there could be a few slick spots on raised roadways and also expressways and bridges. Tomorrow, becoming sunny, becoming warmer, a nice day, 67. Impact weather Friday and Saturday. Rain moves in after dark Friday, briefly changes to snow. Saturday, the impact is just because it's so cold, high of only 38. Sunday, sunny, 22 for the start, a little better in the afternoon. Warmer early next week, but some showers may develop. Ryan Hennessy.
Jerry Tracy, Alabama and Auburn in the SEC tournament on the hardwood in Tampa, Florida. Who's going to play Alabama? Well, that matchup set this team saying Alabama is very beatable. Find out who the Tide match up with coming up next in sports.
Wow, and that's the way it is. The latest trend on TikTok is called the hashtag #BabyBabyBaby challenge from Celine's It's All Coming Back to Me Now. Police are using it to connect to their communities. That's an interesting way to do it. You guys want to get on a little action after the show? We can have Ryan lead the way.
Can't match Celine. How can we?
Yeah.
I'm good.
And he probably doesn't even know any of her songs.
Good point. Thanks for watching WVTM 13 News at 10.
The Tonight Show.